Hello friends, it's Lisa and today we're creating this super cute flip page. This is my benefit for the Get Organized Challenge happening fall of 2018. As you can see, it's frustration-free crafting. That's really what I want. The first thing though to be able to create this flip page is actually to create the flip page. There is no pages that I could find at the craft store when I bought this Tim Holtz flip frame, but you can easily make them. What I did is just use my ruler, measured out the space and where those holes needed to be, how big the holes were, which you could see I made them 0.25 in diameter, and that worked perfectly. Now you'll see I'm adding this extra rectangle. That is the space. It's a spacer for me. You won't see it in the end product, but it's the spacer to help me get those holes lined up right. So I determined to get to the center of those holes from the top, you needed to go down 1/2 inch, and they needed to be 2.5 inches apart. So I centered that yellow spacer square in the middle of the larger page square. Then I aligned it to the top. Now I'm manually putting those circles where they need to be, which is easy because they have quarter grid marks. Next, I sliced those 2 holes and we're done. I cut out a bunch of them so that I could make super awesome flip pages. Next, I'm going in and creating my die cut words. I don't have a die cut that says frustration-free crafting, nor do I have any alphabet die sets. I've thought about getting some, but I also have a Cricut Maker and a Scan and Cut canvas, or a Brother Scan and Cut, sorry. Anyway, so I can really create any words that I want, which is how I do this, and I actually do it quite often. The one thing you have to be careful about is you can't cut too thin of words. You'll see my free in the frustration-free crafting gets a little thin, and I have to cut off just a tiny bit of it. But otherwise, it works out perfectly. Now you'll see right here, I have written out frustration-free crafting. I like to mix fonts, especially more solid, thick fonts with more free-flowing cursive fonts. So that's why the free is in a cursive font. I'm also, welding these letters together. You can see that I made each letter individual in that advanced tool. Then I put the letters in the correct spacing. So for the frustration-free crafting, I tried to get them as close, each letter as close as they could to the next one while you could still read it. That way, when I weld them together, it actually pops out as one shape. Along with the free, it'll do the same thing. Crafting, the I and the N, you're not going to be able to tell them apart. It's just going to look funky if they're actually touching, but that just means I'll have 2 sections rather than 1. Next, I went through my database, which if you don't know what that is, go check out my last video that's up today as well, which is my vlog, and I talk all about that. I am putting every single stamp and die, basically every crafty thing I own, into a database so that it's easy to find and use. Now, I've cut out and added those pages to my flip frame. I used craft paper from Cricut, which I really like, and I'll have linked in my blog post, so check that out. It's thick and sturdy, so it's really great. these are the stamps and, well, I don't actually use this die set, but I do use the Sweetest stamp by Avery L. So you saw the Ledger Scripts from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. This is the Wreath Builder by Gina K, the Sweetest stamp set by Avery L, and the Big Bursts stencil by Joggles. So next, I'm picking out some colors. This was the biggest part of my organization process so far, and I'm hoping ever. It was really intense creating all these swatches. I did not think I had this many colors. Apparently I do. It was crazy. I finally enlisted the help of my family. It took a while to get them to agree to help me, but then it went much faster. Anyway, so I'm picking colors. We'll talk about this in a future video, not too far off, but I just wanted to give you a sneak peek. So I picked out the colors. These are not the only colors that I end up with. They were just the first ones that I picked. It actually turned out into a really cute fall color scheme. You can see there the Twisted Citron and Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxides. But I also use the Macaron Spectrum Noir Sparkle Marker, the Reef Mermaid Marker from Jane Davenport, Lemon Ochre from Brusho, then 2 Pitt pens, 131 and 175, and finally gold, Perfect Pearls in gold. So it really comes out to a super cute fall color scheme. You can see here that I'm using the Sweetest stamp set by Avery L, and I'm doing every second turn. So I'm going to end up with 4 of these little ice cream cones. Then I'll go in and add 4 more ice cream cones, but a different one. You can also see that I'm using the same corner of the paper to go into the corner of this wreath builder set. This is a trick I saw on Jennifer McGuire's blog, and she did this where it wasn't the exact square piece of paper, but it worked perfectly. So it worked really well here as well. I thought this wreath of little ice creams was such a super happy thing. It's kind of the benefit, right? And so I wanted something super happy. Also, you need a small stamp set, so this was the first one I saw that looked cute and would kind of work with my frustration-free crafting. I wanted something simple and clean. When I was talking to my mom about it, she said I should go a little bit crazy and make it look all wild, and I was like, I'm going for the free crafting, easy crafting part of the frustration-free crafting rather than the craziness. There is a lot of craziness in the rewards flip page, which is coming out tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned for that. The lemon ochre I didn't pick out originally, but I knew I needed a brown for this, for the little popsicle sticks and cones, and I saw that one and felt like it would really go well with my color scheme, and I think it did, for sure. Next, I used the Macaroon, I think that's how you say it, Spectrum Noir Sparkle Marker for the red, and the Twisted Citron for the green popsicle. It looks like a little happy popsicle. Looks super good to eat. Then I'm using the Mermaid Lagoon to do those little berries. It's actually pretty small of a detail, but it really pops against the other colors. I wasn't sure what color to put for this drizzled part of the popsicle, so I felt like chocolate would be the best addition because it's not going to take away from the other colors. So I looked and found this really dark reef color from the Jane Davenport mermaid markers, and it turned out really well. It added definitely to the fall feel. One thing I did notice that if you put the marker down on this craft paper originally, and then watercolor over it, it doesn't watercolor out super great. But when you add the wreath back over to a part that has water on it, it does watercolor out much better. Next, I cut out that frustration-free crafting. You saw in the video earlier that I made sure to size that so it would actually fit on my little flip page. I think here I didn't do a great job of thinking through how the words were going to look on the page after I did that wreath. If I did this all over again, I probably would have done something a little bit more simple for the wreath, more simple images that I didn't feel bad putting stuff over, or I would have made a circle and wrote in there frustration-free crafting with my Cricut, because my writing is not great, but I could have written it out and cut a circle with my Cricut and stuck it right in the middle. So just an idea. Thinking through a project, it doesn't mean that it's going to exactly turn out that way, but I feel like I get better results when I do that. So you see on this frustration, I put some Tim Holtz Distress Collage Medium, and I'm weeding that before it's fully dry. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. My mom was awkwardly watching me over my shoulder. But on this crafting, I put Tacky When Dry gel medium from the Crafter's Workshop, which may be my new favorite mixed media gel. It's so much fun. But when the frustration is dry, and remember that has the collage medium on top, you can put over the Faber-Castell pit markers, and it makes it look so cool. I love drawing on top of the dried collage medium with those Faber-Castell pit markers. I still think this 131 pit marker is really good color and goes along with the fall color theme. It just didn't work for that frustration. It wasn't popping on the page or something. So I end up changing that to the 175, which is a brown marker, and you can see that here. I actually go over the top twice. So I go and color the whole thing once, then I go back through and add another layer just because it needed to be darker. You can see there it looks better, but it's going to look even better once I put that second coat on. The Tacky When Dry gel medium is tacky when it's dry. Exactly the name. So you can see that I took the gold Perfect Pearls and just dusted that over. Since it's tacky, it grips that perfectly. It's the best. If you want to get those Perfect Pearls down, you're going to need to use the Tacky When Dry. Next, I'm taking another little tag. You can see I made tags for each color individually. Now, I want to have a listing of color schemes that I can use on projects when I don't feel like going through and picking individual colors, or I want something I know is going to work when I want to be lazy, basically. So I really liked this color scheme, so I'm actually creating that. And you can see for the gold Perfect Pearls and the two pit markers, I put down the same mixed media gels, let them dry, and then add it over top. And that just allows me to get the actual color that I'm going to be using. So, easy peasy, and I have that. I'm actually have that in my hand as I talk through this video. It makes it so much easier. Next, I'm adding the frustration-free crafting embellishment die cuts onto the page. You can see that frustratingly, is hard to see. So, my favorite trick for fixing that is going around the edges with either a white or a black pen. For the crafting and the free, I'm going to use a black pen, and that's going to make it pop. It's going to make it so much easier for your eyes to actually read it. For frustration, I used a Signo White gel pen, just because that would be better. That it worked better for me. You can see this free comes apart pretty easily because it's so thin. It just doesn't cut out as well as the thicker frustration and crafting did, but it cut out well enough and it worked. So I didn't go back and redo it or anything. I just pressed those down really hard and then used my Sharpie to go around the edges. That's it. Here is the end product and my new swatch for fall colors. How cute is that? I'm so excited. And thanks so much for coming, guys. I had a fun time. Remember, the next 8 days, I have a new video coming out every single day. So if you're interested in seeing those, go ahead and subscribe. And thanks so much for coming.